Why can't your mind switch off when you go to sleep? Why do your thoughts race just when it's time to rest? You lie down, turn off the lights, and wait for sleep to come. But just when everything becomes quiet, your mind seems to wake up. You remember what you should have done, replay conversations, imagine problems, and try to predict situations that may never happen. Your body is tired, but your thoughts keep racing. Why does this happen? In this video, you'll understand why your mind seems unable to switch off at bedtime, how worry, overstimulation, the need to control the future, and certain nighttime habits keep your brain alert. Most importantly, you'll discover simple steps that can help create a calmer transition between the pace of the day and the moment of rest. Imagine someone who has spent the entire day being busy. They worked, studied, solved problems, answered messages, and fulfilled their responsibilities. Throughout the day, they barely had time to notice what they were feeling. At night, they pick up their phone to relax, watch a few videos, check the news, and reply to their final messages. When they eventually go to bed, the room becomes quiet. But everything they postponed during the day begins to surface. They remember a forgotten task. Then they think about a conversation that did not end well. Next, they imagine what might happen tomorrow. Each thought leads to another, as if the mind were trying to solve an entire life before allowing the body to fall asleep. This does not necessarily mean that something is wrong with you. Often, your mind does not switch off because it has not received enough signals that the day is over and that it is now safe to slow down. Worry is one of the main causes of this mental agitation. Worrying is an attempt to anticipate problems and find solutions. To some extent, this can be useful. It helps us plan, stay organized, and avoid difficulties. The problem begins when worry stops producing practical action and starts repeating the same questions. What if I can't do it? What if something goes wrong? Should I have said it differently? How am I going to handle everything tomorrow? At that point, the mind is not truly solving a problem. It is simply circling around it. It is like pressing the refresh button repeatedly, hoping that a new answer will appear. This cycle keeps the brain alert precisely when it needs to reduce its activity and prepare for sleep. Another important factor is overstimulation. Throughout the day, we are exposed to messages, videos, music, news, demands, and an enormous amount of information. At night, many people try to relax by consuming even more content. The body may be still, but the brain continues to receive new stimuli. Besides triggering emotions and thoughts, screen light and the absence of a clear break can make it harder for the brain to recognize that it is time to sleep. One video leads to another,
A message seems to demand an immediate response, and a news story sparks curiosity or concern. When the phone is finally put away, the brain is still processing everything it has just received.
There is also the attempt to control the future. Uncertainty often causes discomfort, and thinking repeatedly can create the illusion that we are doing something to prevent a negative outcome. We plan conversations, rehearse answers, and imagine different scenarios. But more thinking does not always give us more control. In many cases, it only creates more frightening possibilities. The future remains uncertain, while the mind becomes increasingly exhausted. It is important to distinguish planning from anxious anticipation. Planning means identifying what can be done and choosing the next practical step. Anxious anticipation tries to eliminate every possibility of error, something that no amount of thinking can guarantee. Nighttime habits also have a strong influence. Very irregular schedules, intense activities close to bedtime, caffeinated drinks late in the day, and the habit of working or studying in bed can confuse the brain. When the bed becomes an office, an entertainment center, and a place for worrying, it is no longer associated only with rest. The brain learns through repetition. If you lie in bed every night and spend a long time thinking, checking messages, or dealing with unfinished tasks, that environment may gradually become a signal for mental activity rather than sleep. There is another detail that is often overlooked. The silence of the night does not create all these thoughts. It often simply reveals what was already there. During the day, tasks and distractions occupy your attention. When those distractions decrease, feelings, doubts, and worries finally have room to appear. That is why trying to force thoughts away usually does not work. The more you tell yourself, "I need to stop thinking," the more attention you give to those thoughts. And the more you think, "I have to fall asleep now," the greater the pressure may become. Sleep, which should happen naturally, turns into a test you are afraid of failing. So, what can you do? First, notice how you reach the end of your day. Do you gradually slow down, or do you move directly from stimulating activities to bed? The brain needs a transition. Creating a calmer period before bedtime can send an important message. Today's demands are over. This transition does not need to be perfect or especially long. It might include dimming the lights, putting your phone away, taking a relaxing shower, reading something light, or listening to calming audio. What matters most is repeating a sequence that helps your body recognize that rest is approaching. Another helpful step is to take your worries out of your head and put them on paper. Before going to bed, write down whatever is occupying your mind. Beside each worry, ask yourself, Is there anything I can do about this right now? If the answer is yes, write down the action. If the answer is no, acknowledge that continuing to think about it tonight will not create a solution. You can also separate worries from unfinished tasks. An unfinished task usually has a possible next step: sending a message, scheduling an appointment, or completing a specific activity. A worry, however, may remain vague, such as the fear that everything will go wrong. Turning whatever you can into specific actions can reduce the feeling of mental disorganization. Pay attention to your nighttime stimulation as well. Does the content you consume before bed make your mind calmer or more alert? Do you lose track of time on social media? Do you read arguments, follow stressful news, or try to solve problems just before lying down? Small changes during this period may be more effective than simply trying to think positively. When thoughts appear, try not to fight them. Acknowledge them by saying, "My mind is trying to solve this right now, but I don't need to find every answer tonight." Then gently bring your attention back to something simple and present, such as the feeling of your body resting on the bed, or the natural rhythm of your breathing. It is also worth looking at how regular your schedule is. Going to sleep and waking up at very different times every day can make it harder for your body to prepare for rest. A realistic and relatively consistent routine tends to be more helpful than strict rules that create even more pressure. If your difficulty sleeping happens frequently, continues for several weeks, or begins to interfere with your studies, work, mood, or daily activities, consider speaking with a healthcare professional. Persistent sleep problems deserve attention and should not be treated simply as a lack of discipline. Your mind does not become restless at night because it has decided to work against you. Most of the time, it is trying to process worries, respond to overstimulation, control uncertainty, and continue habits it has learned over time. The goal is not to force your mind to become completely empty. It is to help it understand that not everything needs to be resolved right now. By reducing stimulation, organizing unfinished tasks, accepting what cannot be controlled, and creating a transition into rest, you can gradually transform the night into a time of recovery instead of another extension of the day's demands. What keeps your mind awake the most? Worries, your phone, tomorrow's tasks, or conversations that keep replaying in your head? Share your experience in the comments. If this video helped you better understand your nights, subscribe to the channel and share it with someone who also goes to bed exhausted but remains wide awake inside.